This is the Superior XF 979TR, and we just crossed the river with it. I can quite confidently say this bike is a lot more capable than it looks. The Superior XF TR is a super lightweight trail bike that only weighs 1,270 grams. To give you an idea how crazy light that is, my bike weighs around 1,500 grams, and my dad's bike weighs almost double than that. And both bikes are physically smaller. That's not even the best part. You can get this bike for just under $3,000. Bikes Online sent me this bike, who's selling this bike both in Australia and the US. I was very excited to ride and unbox it. But after putting this bike together and taking it for a short spin, it kind of just sat there because I wanted to ride my trail bike. I need to make this review, so I decided to take it for a weekend of riding and make an okay review about it so I could get back to riding on my bike. At least that was the plan. But that's not necessarily what happened. After setting it up and bedding in the brakes properly and adding this one change, which I'll tell you later, I kind of just started to like the Superior. So in this video, I'm gonna make a genuinely honest review about this bike. What I like about it, what I don't like about it, and if this were my bike, what would I change? Before we dive into the review, let's talk more about Superior bikes. If you're not familiar, Superior is a European brand that's been making high-performance bikes since the early 90s. They focus on lightweight frames, precision engineering, and race-proven geometry. Whether it's XC racing, trail riding, or marathon endurance, Superior builds bikes that are fast, efficient, and ready for any type of riding. Their bikes are designed in the Czech Republic, and they're known for using premium materials like carbon fiber, keeping the weight down while making the bikes sure that it can handle technical terrain. And that brings us to the Superior XF 979TR, which is the bike that I have today. A bike that blends the speed of an XC race machine and the capability of a proper trail bike. Let's start with the most standout feature about this bike, the carbon fiber frame. This bike, the 979, sits between the entry-level 939 and the top-of-the-line 999. And they all share the same carbon fiber frame, just in different colors. I really like this matte finish. It has integrated protection on the down tube, which you would absolutely need because you don't want rocks smashing against this premium carbon fiber frame. And a good chain protector, which is kind of just standard among modern mountain bikes now. I could talk about geometry and angles, but that's really boring. But I'm gonna talk about it anyways. This bike has a nice and slack 66.5 head angle and a steep, real steep 76-degree seat angle. This bike also has a 407mm reach, make it nice and stable on the scents. Paired with that, nice for climbing too. So basically, this bike's DNA is coming from a proper fast cross-country bike, but it's built with more travel and burlier wheels and tires, which is built to tackle more sketchy stuff without sacrificing speed on nice mellow trails. And this is where the beliefs I had about this bike started to change, because initially I thought that I wouldn't like the bike because it was made for trails that I didn't necessarily enjoy riding. I enjoy riding trails that either are quite technical or have lots of jumps, like this place. And if you look closely at this suspension design, it looks a little bit overly simplistic. And according to the engineering journals, this is called a one-pivot design. And this whole rear triangle is made of carbon and it's one piece. Compared to other multi-link designs, single pivot suspension still provides a lot of pedaling efficiency while providing traction on the rear end. I don't know. When I first hopped on this bike at the trail, I thought it was going to be super twitchy. But the long wheelbase actually made it really planted. I was still able to rail berms even if the bike is slightly bigger for me. The Mars. Whoa, 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 don't explode. All three models are paired with the RockShox Monarch RT rear shock, giving it a total of 130 millimeters travel. The front is handled by a RockShox Revelation fork with 140 mil travel. If this is your first time seeing a Revelation, it just sits below the RockShox Pike in terms of stiffness and damping performance. But it still delivers an excellent small bump sensitivity and control on rough terrain. It's essentially just a lighter, cheaper version of the Pike. This bike has a MoCo, or motion control damper, and it's known for being quite simple and reliable, and it's perfect for the intended riding use of this bike. But it does have limitations. On long alpine descents, the air is mixed with the fork oil, which makes bubbles, and that changes the feel quite a bit on the fork. You have the option to upgrade the damper on the fork to the top of the end the damper, which is the Charger 2.1, which basically transforms this whole thing into a Pike Ultimate. Like I said in the beginning, I pushed this bike to its limits, and I didn't just take it to simple gravel trails. The first time I took it out, there was a big drop and a small drop. I wasn't sure how the bike would handle it, but after hitting the small one, I got really confident.
That's good. I like that. That felt good. I think I'm gonna do the drop now.
As I kept riding, I felt more and more confident, especially on the first tech trail I took it on. I found myself gapping rollers, and I really started to appreciate how the suspension felt. Balance between efficiency and control. Even though with the long wheelbase, I was still able to rail berms and move the bike through tight corners. I expected it to feel sluggish, but instead, it stays composed and predictable, letting me push harder through turns without feeling like I was fighting the bike. Then there was the Road Gapper G5, a feature that I wasn't able to do before, but the XFTR feeling so good, I finally went for it. For no apparent reason, the bike handled like a champ, proving it's more than just a lightweight climber. It's a seriously capable trail bike. Now, usually brands manage to bring down the cost of the build by cheaping out the parts. The 979 and the 999 models come with DT Swiss 370 hubs laced to a DT Swiss M1900 rims. These parts balances quality, durability, and weight. That's a challenge for Superior to keep both cost and weight for this bike. You see, the weight you put on the wheels affects the bike a lot. That spinning mass is what takes energy when speeding up or braking. The bike contacts the ground with a set of Schwalbe knobby nick tires. This is a kind of do-it-all tire. You can ride in most all-terrain, and you can feel how fast it rolls and how less of a drag it is. Even with my tiny legs, I can crank it up and accelerate the bike like you have a pedal assist, if you want to say that. It gets up to speed without any issues, keeps holding that speed without any trouble. I took it to this trail where it's relatively flat. It's got lots of rollers and jumps and berms that it gets harder to clear. But I managed to clear these jumps without a sweat, even clearing the triple roller. It's unbelievable the first time I've done it. Everything comes at a price. On loose over hard packed dirt, you can't lean into it aggressively. It keeps snapping and sharpening corners, and I don't even know how to sharp. I learned the hard way by suddenly going over the bar on a high-speed bend. It was so abrupt, without even a warning, I just went flying. If I ride this bike regularly, the tires will be the first one to go. It's just not enough for aggressive and gravity riding. The bike is, but the tires is just not enough. I'm willing to sacrifice weight and rolling speed for that extra grip and confidence. Like, a good alternative would be like a nice combo, like a DHF front and a DHR2 at the back. That'll be pretty good. Now, when it comes to the dropper post, I wasn't able to test it because of one thing. The bend of the seat tube. You can only insert the dropper post up to this level. That is not the fault of the bike, because I'm not tall enough, but that is still seriously high even for someone that's tall enough. The I-Spec dropper lever feels quite good though, but anyway, I just put a normal seat in. This 979 comes equipped with a mix of Shimano parts for its drive. It's got an SLX 170mm crankset, an SLX 12 speeds cassette, an XT derailleur, and Dior chain and SLX shifter. But the shifting on this bike is so buttery smooth, it was tuned perfectly out of the box. The brakes are mid, period. It's equipped with Dior M6 120 brakes and 4-piston calipers. There's 100mm rotors front and back. As with all brand new bikes, you have to bend the brakes before you actually go out for a proper ride. And this bike is equipped with metallic brake pads. It's my first time using the bike with metallic pads in them, and it took a while before I could actually feel the power of these brakes. Once bedded in, the brakes are quite powerful. That, to be honest, the tires can't handle it, so you have to be careful not to grab too much brake. The top spec 999 comes with XT brakes, so that's even better in terms of braking power and adjustments. I took it to some sketchy off-camber single track, and this is when I started to really appreciate the bike's balance. On trails where the ground sloped away beneath me, I thought the long wheelbase would make it harder to sustain control, but the XF979TR stayed planted. The combination of the low bottom bracket and the slack head angle made it easy to hold my line even when traction was questionable. The real test came when I decided to ride a black-rated rocky trail completely blind. I had never seen this trail before, so every drop, rock guarded, and technical shoot was a complete surprise. Despite that, the bike gave me the confidence to just send it. The Shimano 4-pot brakes made sure I had control of my speed on steep rock rolls, and the 140mm RockShox Revelation fork soaked up the big hit surprisingly well.
If I fall, I'm going to punch you. Bro, this is sketchy. Oh, I'm wet.
The rest of the bike is equipped with one brand alloy, handlebar, grips, and stem. Not a big fan of the stem though. Once you put a spacer above instead of below, the stem does not look right compared to a normal circle stem cap. The Physique Terra Aiden saddle looks really good though, and it's quite comfortable on the climbs. It's sloped towards the back because most of the time you're sitting, you're climbing anyway. So after pushing this bike to its basic limits, doing every single discipline at riding, I could very confidently say that this bike is a lot more capable than it looks. If you want the climbing efficiency of an XC bike, but want the capability of an actual trail bike, right behind me. It's got pedal efficiency on the uphill, gets you up nice and quick, but lets you get rowdy on the descent. It's not a full enduro rig, but if you're after a fast, fun bike that can handle a variety of trails, you should definitely give this one a look. Between the 979 and 99 build, I would still definitely go for this one. Because for the difference, in the 999, it comes with XT brakes and XT drivetrains, but it just doesn't match everything else, like the tires. And the difference you could spend on here, you could get new tires with the difference between the 979 and the 999. You can even get the Charger 2.1 for the Revelation for that price. Huge thanks to Bikes Online for letting me try out this bike. If you were gonna look for this bike, go ahead and check it out in the affiliate link below. It helps out the channel for no extra cost to you. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. And like always, tread hard, ride safe. See ya!